Mataji, there was one question which was in English term Adi Bhuta, Adi Yajna, Adi Daiva, Adhyatma. Now, what is Adhyatma? Because I could not find that.
Self. Adhyatma is basically related to the self. It's there in that. It's
Okay.
there in that verse.
Is it there?
I'll share. Yeah. Aishwarya, not Aishwarya. Sharada Mataji and me, we discussed that chapter. Adhyatma is basically self. So she was talking
Self.
about how Atman means self. And so
Uh-huh.
Adhyatma is related to the self.
Adhyatma is related to self. Okay. So we are doing chapter 12, Mataji.
10 and 11. We'll do 10 and 11 quickly. And then we'll
Yeah.
also do 12 if there is time. If we can do it quickly. So let's start with chapter 10. Chapter
Yeah.
10, we'll just read alternately the questions and answers. We can both pull in. The
Yeah.
first one I'll start. Give the English meanings of the words Ajam and Anadim. Very simple. Ajam is unborn. Anadim is without beginning. Like Adim in terms of beginning.
10 and just open it. Yeah. 10. What is the special mercy rendered to pure devotees by?
Special
Yeah.
mercy rendered to pure devotee by Krishna, and from the verse 10.11 is that
Dwelling
the
in
Lord's, yeah.
destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Yes, that's the one. So the Lord's
Yeah.
pure devotees are not naive sentimentalists like the Mayavadi philosophers say. Rather, they are actually very learned because Krishna will dwell in the heart of the pure devotees and destroy
Correct.
with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So I just shuffle the words a little and put it there.
Right.
Question 3, explain the significance of the phrase Param Brahma. So this is really important because after hearing the Chatushloki, then Arjuna proclaims that Krishna is a supreme truth, that is Param Brahma. So Param Brahma is a supreme truth or the originator of everything and everyone. And what Arjuna says is not just his own, just to please Krishna, but it is in concordance with the Vedic injunction. So this declaration is also an answer to the Mayavadi philosopher. So that is why this phrase is very significant.
Mataji, Mayavadi and we have these
Impersonalists.
Yeah, impersonalists don't believe in the form of the Lord, right? And Mayavadis are demigod worshippers.
Mayavadis also incorporate these people who don't believe in the form.
Form. Okay.
Yeah, so they are also impersonalists.
Correct.
In fact, deity worshippers who think that the other deities are equal to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada has called them atheists. He has said that when you're just equating all the gods to Krishna, it is equal to being an atheist.
Correct. So give the English meaning of the phrase Jnana Dipena. Jnana Dipena means knowledge and Deepa means lamp.
Yeah.
So it's the darkness born of ignorance is removed by the lamp of knowledge.
Yeah. And this verse actually goes one step further and says that this ignorance is not only the darkness of ignorance is dissipated, but Krishna actually provides everything automatically to a devotee to such an extent that thus elevated position that you get by pure knowledge, the devotee becomes free from all kinds of material endeavors. When you become a pure devotee, you need to not, do any material endeavor itself. You become transcendental even in this body. So that kind of a, connotation is there in this verse. Very beautiful.
Right.
Question 5. Why does Arjuna ask Krishna to explain his opulences from 10.17 and 18? So there are 3 reasons I have written. Right. Arjuna asks Krishna to explain his opulences for the following reasons. 1, so that common men, including demons and atheists, also get benefited. This is because materialists cannot understand Krishna spiritually. They need to actually have this kind of opulences being described. Second reason is because being a pure devotee, Arjuna is never satiated in hearing about Krishna. Any narration concerning Krishna is like nectar and you want to keep on listening. And the third reason is simply because Arjuna wants to always think of Krishna. So he is also trying to understand how Krishna can, you can think of Krishna all the time.
Right. Correct. And then we have the next question. Explain the meaning of the word vibhuti. And this is 10.19.
Yeah.
Vibhuti means personal opulences.
Yes.
Okay, personal opulences. And
So they are
what is
basically the opulences by which Krishna controls the whole manifestation.
whole universe?
And there is a reference in that purport that according to Amara Kosha dictionary, Vibhuti means exceptional opulence.
Correct.
Question 7 is, explain the meaning of the word Gudakesha in 10.20. Gudakesha means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha in this verse by Krishna to show that Arjuna is actually above the darkness of the ignorance in which the material people are sleeping.
Correct. So this is a word that we've learned earlier also, no, Mataji? Gudakesha.
Yeah, one who
Arjuna
has
is
conquered sleep. But in this purport, there's one additional thing where the darkness is also compared to the ignorance, and that ignorance is described as a state in which the material people are just sleeping in. So that way, the darkness has got some additional meaning there.
Correct. Correct. Right. And among sacrifices, what is the significance of the chanting of the holy name? 10.25. And of the immovable things, I am the Himalayas. And the transcendental Om of sacrifices and chanting of sacrifices and the chanting of the holy name, and of immovable things, I'm Himalaya. So he is basically of sacrifices, I'm chanting. So chanting the holy name is considered as a sacrifice, purest of all sacrifices.
Yes. It involves no violence like animal sacrifices or no complexities like deity worship and meditation. The simplest and purest.
Purest form.
Yeah.
Purest way of achieving Krishna Bhakti.
Correct. So question 9 is list any 4 opulences that are considered feminine. So I thought we can learn all of them. There are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7. You have to say any 4 of them. First, we begin with F, fame, fortune, fine speech. Then memory and intelligence. And then steadfastness and patience. So that is how I wrote it so that I can remember it. If we are asked to say 4, we can remember fame, fortune, fine speech, memory. Yeah.
And memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Okay.
Yes.
Give the meaning of the phrases Ekam Sena Stito Jagat 10.42 and Asamaurdhva 42.
Yeah, so this Ek Amshena, Amsh as in, fragment or part. Ek Amshena Sthita Jagat.
Jagat. Okay. So, Ekam. Eka is by one. Sena is part. Sthita is situated. Jagat is universe.
So with just one single fragment, I pervade and support the entire universe.
Correct. And support this entire universe. That's right. And Asamaurdhva. Asamaurdhva.
Comes in the purport.
Yeah, I was just going through that. Do you see it anywhere?
Is there? No one is superior to Krishna. No one is equal to Krishna. That is a word, asamardhva. Asamardhva. No one is equal or superior to Krishna because he is the origin of everyone born. So no one can possibly be greater than him because he is the cause of everything.
Sarva Karana Karana.
Yeah. List the 3 Purushavataras described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.20. Karanodakshaya Vishnu, also called Mahavishnu, who is actually in Yoga Nidra, and then from all his pores, thousands of universes keep coming out, and each universe there is a Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu from his navel, that is the garb, from his navel, the lotus comes and Brahma is born, and Brahma creates, all the living entities and everything, and the Lord enters into every atom and every living thing as Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So the three Vishnus are Karnodakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and all of them are in the material manifestation.
Mataji, can you just explain this once again? You did it so well. I'm a little confused with that.
Yeah. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.20, it is mentioned in more detail. Other than no, in Srimad Bhagavatam, the exact verse I have not written, but the reference is given from the Gita 10.20 that the Krishna expands as Sankarshana form, and then there is an expansion as which is called Karano Dakshai Vishnu. Karano Dakshai Vishnu. He is also called the Mahavishnu. Right. So then he is in, yoga nidra. He is in yoga nidra, and on top of that serpent, and out of all his pores, universes are constantly being produced, and it's expanding endlessly. And each of this universe, there appears the expansion of Vishnu as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So from each of the universe where Garbhodakshai Vishnu is there, half in causal ocean or some description is given in Bhagavatam. Then from his navel, each of these Vishnus, the navel is a Brahma come. That's why we say there are so many Brahmas. So each of these universes, Garbhodakshai Vishnu's navel, the Brahma, the lotus flower appears and the Brahma comes and he begins the whole creation. And into that, every atom of that creation and into every living entity, the Lord enters as Paramatma, also called Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu is a Paramatma form which enters into every single atom and every single living entity. And so that is why three Vishnus are, first one Karanodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And they are all in the material manifestation.
On material manifestation. Right, Mataji, for that. Thank you so much. So that's the three Purusha Avtaras.
Yeah. Then I've just noted down some of the other questions which I felt was important because Mataji was saying that connection between chapters we should know. So I've noticed the connection between chapter 9 and chapter 10 is that in chapter 9, the Lord Krishna, he concludes in verse 9.34, which is the last verse, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. So in that instruction, he is asking us to fix our mind upon Krishna. Therefore, in chapter 10, Krishna continues to describe his various opulences of vibhutis so that a devotee is able to fix his mind and remember him and follow that last verse of chapter 9 so that whenever he sees anything which is opulent or powerful or beautiful in this world, he is able to remember Krishna and he is able to follow the instruction of chapter 9, Manmana Bhava. There's a connection between chapter 9 and chapter 10.
So 9, he concludes with the shloka that you said, Manmana Madbhakto. In that, how to fix our minds on Krishna. And in the chapter 10, he describes all the opulences and the vibhuti, so it becomes easier for a person to fix his mind on.
Correct. Also, there is a reference that in both chapter 7 as well as in 9, Krishna is explaining his different energies. That is just to establish our devotion in firm conviction. So in chapter 10, he is explaining his manifestations and vibhutis so that the devotion increases further when you hear about the opulences. It's a similar thing only.
Correct. So Mataji, what about in 7? I think 7, he actually tells, like in 6th chapter, ending from 1 to 6, it was basically about super soul, how the soul is and how the soul and the body are different. And in 7, how to fixate on Krishna's lotus feet, right?
Yeah.
So then what is 7 and 8, Mataji? How would we explain that?
Actually, and 7 to 8, I haven't noted down here, Mataji. It was written somewhere. I don't remember. I'll check when we read chapter 7 and 8. I'll come to that. Here, I just focused on 10 and 11. For the morning today. Okay. Yeah.
So what about
7 and 9 are similar actually. I remember Aishwarya Mataji did mention when we were doing chapter 9 that 7 and 9 are very related in that they both speak about energies. Whereas 8 is slightly different because there he speaks mainly about the death and he answers all those questions related to the different terminologies. In which the most important question is how to remember Krishna at the time of death. But 7
Time of
and
death.
9, they both speak about energies. Now, how 7 is related to 8 and 8 is related to 9, I need to go through once more through the slides and all that.
Okay, Mataji.
Then I have also mentioned a brief summary of chapter 10. Like chapter 10, in the beginning, Krishna talks about how he is unknowable and the source of all, and therefore even demigods and sages don't know him. He talks about all the qualities that come from him, and he talks about how the Kumaras and sages and Manus come from him. Then in the second part, he talks about pure bhakti in the Chatushloki. In the third part, Arjuna will hear the Chatushloki and accept Krishna's supreme position, and then Arjuna will express his desire to hear more. And in the last part, fourth part, Krishna will start describing all his vibhutis. So those are the summary and parts of the chapter.
Okay. Unknown qualities. Arjuna accepts him, wants to know more about him. He talks about bhakti. Right.
And the analogies in chapter 10 are, one is the analogy of sowing a seed in the heart, and one is the analogy of the young boy and girl taking pleasure in each other's association. Both of these come in the verse 10.9 of chapter 10.
Okay.
So 10.9 is very beautiful, the purport. It talks about how Lord Chaitanya, he likens the transcendental devotional service to sowing of a seed. So then I went back and I looked at that verse in which it is, the famous word which even Keshav Prabhu, he talks about, Brahmananda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Bi. So the whole world, people are wandering, from one place to the other aimlessly. But then Bhagyavan Jeev gets the prasad of Guru Krishna, and therefore the devotional wine seed is sown in his heart, which will grow and grow by watering of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It will ultimately penetrate the material universe and enter the Brahma Jyoti, and from there it will further grow and reach the Goloka Vrindavan, and ultimately it will just be at Krishna's feet. That's where the final destination.
Correct. So that shloka is very beautiful, Mataji.
Yeah, even I like it so much.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful. Bhakti. It's like very few people get that blessing.
Yeah. And the second analogy is about the boy and the girl. So, it begins with the description of how the Srimad Bhagavatam is a scripture which is enjoyed by even Paramahamsas. Even liberated souls like to listen to the Bhagavatam. So even realized souls, they take pleasure in narrations related to God and his devotees, just like a young boy and girl take pleasure in association in their, initial affair.
Yeah, that's true. Correct, ma'am.
So we'll move on to chapter 11.
Yeah. So what about the other ones? We don't need to do it, Mataji. Do you think it is
Other
important?
ones, if you want, you can go through them. But mainly, last time Mataji had said just do the analogies. But this time she also mentioned that, you should go through the connection between the chapters, which she didn't tell us to do last time.
Actually, she's not setting up the paper this time. So we don't know.
Yeah, so if you look at the other questions, I have just talked about the connection and summary and sowing of the seed analogy. Then in what various forms are you to be remembered, which Krishna asks, Arjuna asks is one question I have not written. So various forms are you to be remembered. I think Krishna talks about his two-handed form only, right? He must have spoken about his two-handed form in 10.17. Then this question number 5, we have done as a Zoom breakout room. How does it relate to your personal experience? After hearing Krishna Katha compared to that of hearing mundane topics, you don't have any more interest in listening to mundane topics. So then that is a personal question, contrast your experience.
Right. So I think 10 is over, right?
Yeah. 10 is done. Open book, of course, we don't have to do. Then in chapter 11, Okay, I'll do the question 1 again. How does the universal form differ from the other forms of the Lord? So in 11.5, there are I have noted down 4 differences. Basically, the similarity I will say first, like the universal form as well as all other forms of the Lord are transcendental. However, since it is just manifested for cosmic manifestation, it is subject to temporary time of the material nature. So that is a one major difference, that the universal form is manifested like material nature, therefore it is manifested and non-manifested and subject to the this circle of manifestation non-manifestation, whereas all other forms are eternally situated in the spiritual sky. They're not in the cosmic manifestation at all. Second difference is that devotees are not eager to see the universal form, whereas all other forms the devotees contemplate, especially on the two-handed charms in the personal form of the Lord. The third difference is that the universal form is very dreadful and scary, whereas contemplating on the Krishna Leelas and pure devotees like Yashoda, Gopis, Gopas, they will experience all the rasas. It's full of rasas. And the fourth is that basically it's in the material world and other forms are in the spiritual sky.
Normal form has all the rasas, that is correct. And universal form is dreadful, that is correct. Nobody wants to see that actually. And you said the last point was the rasas is available in the normal form. There's one more
Whereas the
point you said.
universal form is dreadful and scary, where Arjuna gets, he gets petrified.
Yeah.
He says, "Stop! I don't want to see this anymore."
Correct. Okay.
Especially after he sees a Kalosmi form, where the Lord shows him how he devours everything.
Correct.
And everyone except devotees. He says, except Pandavas, everybody else is devoured.
Right. Okay, ma'am. Got this. Yeah. So next is who was eligible to see the universal form on the battlefield?
No.
Was
Next is another question of 4 aspects.
Oh, give me one. Yeah. Sorry. Describe any 4 aspects of Arjuna's vision of the universal form. 11:15 to 31. Mataji, what is this exactly?
This answer I'm not very sure. Yeah, I have just randomly picked up some points. I just couldn't find specifically 4 aspects, so it must be any 4. So from 15 to 31, Lord Arjuna goes on describing. So I just picked up the first 3, and then I felt that it's just sounding similar, and then I picked up the Kalosmi form. So I wrote I simply wrote that the first one is where Arjuna could see everything from beginning to end, including demigods, Brahma, Shiva, sages, divine serpents, and everything. So, which actually also shows that that many of them were also given the divine vision to see. And then Mataji had also said that because of that, we know that Arjuna is not dreaming, because they all saw. Second point is I wrote from the second verse over there, 16, that Arjuna saw in the universal form also no end, no middle and beginning, and multiple arms, bellies, mouths, eyes, and they were all expanding endlessly. And then third point, I thought I'll just go on with the glowing. So I just went on to the next verse, which is 17, which talks about how Krishna's universal form is glowing with all the crowns, clubs, this, and the effulgence is like a blazing fire, and more importantly, it's like Sahasra Suryas, right? 100,000 suns.
Yes.
And the fourth point is that it's very wondrous and terrible, the Kalosmi form, and which made Arjuna very perturbed, because he saw all sons of the Rasha and soldiers of both sides rushing into Krishna's fearful mouth, and everything is destroyed. So there are 2 analogies also here. One is about the moths jumping into fire, and one is about the rivers all falling into the ocean.
Okay. So rivers falling into the ocean and the gods falling into the fire.
Yeah, moths.
Moths falling into the fire. Yeah, they see the light and they run towards it.
Yeah.
Okay. I've not actually done the 10. I've not reached the 10th chapter yet. Okay. And then we have defined the phrase kalos Kalu Asmi.
No, yeah. Who was
Loka.
eligible? Question 3 now.
Sorry. Who was eligible to see the universal form on the battlefield? Who was eligible? Right. It's just Arjuna, right? I mean, what
No,
what
that
exactly?
is which I just mentioned a while ago, no? When Ashwani Mataji asked us, how do we know that Arjuna is not dreaming? Maybe he just made up the whole thing in his mind. So that is the reason why Krishna actually gives the divine vision to several other people across the universes. For example, it's mentioned in 11.20, 21, 22, and 23 that the Lord endows divine vision to different planetary systems, the demigods, sages, Lord Shiva, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishvedas, two Ashvis, Maruts, forefathers, Gandharvas, Yakshas, and even some Asuras. They all beheld the universal form in wonder. So this is a proof that Arjuna is not dreaming because they all also, the Lord endowed them also with divine vision. Moreover, Sanjaya also got to see.
Sanjay got to see. Yeah. I think even Duryodhana, but I don't think we mentioned that, right?
That is not mentioned. I think the divine vision was not given to anybody in the battlefield.
So what about this Yakshas and all those people? They are not
They
in the
are in the
battlefield.
universes. They are all,
Universe.
the space. So Arjuna is able to see all the universes expanding constantly, and between all these spaces, he could see all these demigods and sages. In the universal form itself, they were, witnessing the form and they were all paying their obeisances, sort of.
Correct. So we'll have to write it that way only, no, Mataji? The way you said it, like, it's not just Arjuna, but
Yeah, yeah. Because this answer was discussed in the class, talking about the
Hmm.
dream. Why is it not a dream?
Right. Correct. Should I go to the next one?
Yes, yes, Mata. We do the next one.
Lokakshaya Krit and Nimitta Matram Bhava. So Kalosmi Lokakshaya. That means Kalosmi is what we were referring to right now. Time.
Yeah.
I am. I am time. Loka of the worlds. And Nimitta Matra means just a reason
I
or
have
an
to mention
excuse.
that Lokakshaya, where Kshaya means destroyer. So Kala is not just time, but also it refers to the destroyer of the worlds. So he says, I am time, the destroyer of the worlds. That is what gets referred to in Oppenheimer when that, Oppenheimer, he after the World War, after that war, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then
Uh-huh.
he talks about, he refers to this same verse and he says, actually Krishna is time and he is, takes the form of destroy. He is a destroyer of the worlds. Krishna is a destroyer of the worlds in the form of time.
Hmm. Who said that, Mataji?
Oppenheimer, in the movie Oppenheimer, we saw, no, that the person
I
who
yeah,
created the bomb, atomic
yeah,
bomb.
ah. Seriously. But yeah, I didn't see that movie actually, but I've
Yeah, I
heard about
saw it because I was, in my school, the principal and everybody, they were talking to children in the banking hour, open house, to the parents, and you should watch English movies, you should watch, for example, Oppenheimer. And I was like, what is this? And then there was a lot of controversy about some people not liking the way Gita was referred to. But I didn't mind it that much, I felt Oppenheimer was basically, talking about how in a war, Krishna is a person who takes a form of destruction, like, and ultimately, not even a leaf will move without Krishna's sanction. So, it has
right.
to be with Krishna's sanction. So, Kalosmi form is the all-devouring giant form of death, basically, where time is referred to as a destruction, and death is a law of nature. So, that is Lord.
So that's what we can write for this, na? Kalo Asmi Lokakshya Krit.
Yeah,
And the Matram Bhava is just a cause.
yeah, just become the cause. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, just be an instrument in the fight because I've already killed everyone now. You just have to be an instrument.
Right.
Why Arjuna addresses Krishna as a great grandfather? Simply because he is a father of Brahma, who is the first living creature.
Father of
Yeah,
Brahma, and he's a seeking father of everyone.
yeah, yeah. Father of Brahma, and Brahma creates all the other, the all these sages and Manu comes, and then from that, the entire human, everybody comes, all the living entities. So then question 6, we'll do fast, Mataji, only 10 minutes are there. And then we will do the balance of chapter 11 and 12 tomorrow in that case. Tomorrow,
Done.
will you be able to do on Sunday?
Yes. Yes, I can, man.
Just for
Not a
one
problem.
Zoom meeting, no? For that 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. So chapter 6 is, question 6 is analogy of the sun and lamplight, which is like, very easy. It simply talks about how the original verses of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, they are as clear as the sun itself. So it doesn't require a lamplight from foolish commentators. I like this a lot, actually. Yeah, so analogy of the sun and lamplight. And then Mataji have noted for connection between chapter 10 and 11. Basically, chapter 10 is theory, chapter 11 is practical. And chapter 10, after hearing Krishna say that he pervades and supports the entire universe and everything, Arjuna in chapter 11 wishes to see that, that Krishna has described so much. He wants to see that all pervasive form of the Lord. He's curious to see for the benefit of common people and all that.
This is between 10 and...
Yeah, chapter 11, the main questions are over. Then summary of chapter 11 I've written down, in terms of sections, but it is very complex. I've just written down and I know I will never be able to remember it because it goes like from 11.1 to 8, Arjuna's request. Then 11.9 to 14, Sanjaya describes. Then the numbers, I don't know whether I'll be able to remember. 11.15 to 19, Arjuna speaks of his realizations after seeing the form. And 19 to 31, he describes Kala Rupa. 32 to 34, again, time I am become my instrument, Krishna is saying. And 35 to 46, Krishna prays, seeking forgiveness. And finally, 47 to 55, only pure devotees can see Krishna's two-armed, which is even superior to the universal form. So
but Mataji, these are very lengthy answers. Do you think they'll come?
I don't think this one will come. Maybe the connections might come, but I don't think summary will come here, especially chapter 11. It has so many sections.
Many sections, yeah. And it's quite a, it's like quite a lot to write.
Exactly. I don't think it will come. Vishwarupa, why was it shown to Arjuna? Do you remember? I've noted down 3 points for that.
Explain why Vishwarupa. This was once again, I think it's the same, no, Mataji, what you said initially. To prove that, he is the supreme form, basically, to show the supreme form of the Lord, or, the Kalosmi form, that everything is him, basically. Everything is contained in him and everything emanates from him.
Yeah, and the reason is also to boost Arjuna's confidence because he shows him the future and tries to tell him, you just have to be my instrument. So he's boosting confidence. And there's a very important point. It is to set a benchmark for future gods. So Krishna already knows that there'll be people in future who will say, I am God, I am God. And so he wants to set a benchmark so that, and Vaishya Mataji tells us, if somebody says, ask them, okay, show me the Vishwarupa.
The Vishwarupa form, yes.
So it's a benchmark. Then I've just noted down few more points, Mataji. For example, change in relationship between Krishna and Arjuna in 11.14. Initially, it is friendship, and then there's a dip into Dasya. Dasya form where he starts paying obeisances with great respect and he starts praying. And then we can just mention, Mataji had mentioned about this Akhila Rasamrita Murti, where devotees are able to see Krishna in all relationships. They see Krishna as Akhila Rasamrita Murti, master of all rasas. So I was noting down these small points from the slides and all. Sudurdarshanam is a term which is used in 11.52. Sudurdarshanam, which means it's very difficult to see the universal form. And you can see a universal form only with Krishna's grace. However, the two-handed form is even more confidential and difficult to see. That's all the notes I wrote, Mataji, for chapter 10 and 11 today. From morning, I've been, sitting with these chapters. I thought I'll finish 10, 11 and 12. But by the time 12 was beginning, it was time for me to take the class. So I'm taking the adult classes, this time.
Oh, wow. You're taking classes, Mataji?
Yeah, I took one batch of children's classes.
And do your job also.
Yeah, it is very tough to balance actually, because I can't take the class without preparing. And however, it is a little sad. This batch, there are less people. So there are, like last time there were many. This batch, there are very less because of pujas and everything, no? I guess this Navratri and all are going on. So very few. Today I had just 5 or 6 people listening. I was doing chapter 12 only.
I've started, actually finished 7 and 8, but what happened is I picked up the wrong book, the wrong this thing,
Questions.
So again I started studying, yeah. So today I just finished 7 and 8. Now tomorrow 8 and 9, 9 and 10. Hopefully in the next 2, 3, so then I can again go through it, because
Yeah.
really, yeah, it's been
We'll
quite
do a revision also, maybe, once we'll ask each other the questions from all. Tomorrow we'll try and finish 11 and 12 actually. 7, that way we'll finish 7 to 12 in terms of first set of discussion. I'll put out my answers. I've tried to write neatly, but I don't know if others will understand. I don't usually type, because typing, you end up copy pasting also from this database.
yeah.
So I think I should practice writing. So I sit and write.
No, but whatever last time also you had sent, the Mataji, it was really helpful. So I think handwriting won't be a problem. None of us are writing, I actually wanted to write these answers, but what I'm doing is I'm opening the Bhagavad Gita, the question paper, and I'm just explaining things to myself. So
Yeah.
when the message came right now, I was just finishing the 8th chapter.
Okay. So now the 9 and 10 are also done. 11 also. No, 9
Yeah,
we done together only, right? You were there, no, with me.
I was there for 9. Yes, I
Ah.
was there for 9 and 10.
And
And then
today
I think
10 and
we
11 and tomorrow 12. So then it will be all done.
Yeah.
At
I
least
think I
one
will
round.
do. Yeah, tomorrow I'm thinking of doing 11 because it'll be fresh, because we just did it today. So tomorrow
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing 11. That will remain fresh in my mind. That way, yeah.
Okay,
Not
Mata.
a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare
I'll
Krishna.
see
Very
you
nice of
tomorrow.
you to
For the
join.
time
Thank
we'll
you
do
so
it
much.
tomorrow then.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. See you
Thank
tomorrow, same time. Yeah.